and it is speak off the cuff. So basically the objective of this project is to develop awareness of the situation around you and call upon to deliver in a punctual speech. The evaluator for this project would be Monica. Monica right there. And the topic would be NA because we don't know what he's going to talk about. And the person doing this project is Charlie. Thank you, Charlie.
In fact, I don't know what I'm going to be talking about as well, because the objective of this project is to speak in an impromptu way. So I was told to choose 5 topics, and then someone would have to choose one for me. So I'm going to, would you guys like to help me?
Yeah.
I'll give you the choice so that you can tell me what to talk about. I want to warn you, I am in a very small field, and I don't know much about anything else. So those of you who know me can help me better. The first topic would be violin.
Wow.
I know lots about this. The second topic is how to build a house. I know about it, but I don't know if I can say it for 5 minutes. The third one is art. I do know a little bit about it. Good. I'm not going to say anything after this. So which one would you guys like? One more? That's it.
Is it one more?
I'm so dumb. Come on. But I only have 4. Ruth, what's your vote? How to build a house? Any more votes?
Yes, second.
Okay, go.
How to build a house?
How to build a house.
How to build a house? You guys
Give me a round of
picked the
applause.
wrong one. Well, I need problems for this. First of all, I want to ask you guys, what are you passionate about? Are you guys, is the job that you do something that you're really passionate about? The reason I ask is because I'm kind of lucky. As you know from the first choice of my topics, I'm a violin maker. And that is kind of an artistic field. And in that respect, I'm really lucky because, number one, it's quite enjoyable. And it's something I really like to do. And the second thing that makes me lucky is I have a job doing it. And for those of you who understand about art, most artists don't really make any money until they drop dead. It's true in the violin making world too. But the more important thing is that about being passionate is I think it has, as I get a little bit on in my life, I started to think about, does passion only apply to what you're doing? Because if you think about it, if you look around you, not everybody is, I guess that people who go to work in a bank, I could be wrong, they might not be so passionate about that, but they might like the rewards. So there might be other aspects of passion. But the reason I'm going to talk about how to build a house is because it's one of my formative experiences in my life. When I was very small, my parents moved out of an apartment and into a house, and that house was tiny by American standards. It was only like 1,000 square feet.
No.
Yeah, but there were 5 people in our family, and we wanted to have more room. So my parents bought that little house, and my father was also going to night school at the time to become a carpenter. And so one of his first projects when he was learning how to become a carpenter was he wanted to add on to that house. He wanted to put an addition onto the house. So when I was about 3 or 4 years old, my father began doing something very strange. He started digging a hole in the backyard. And this is the first thing I'd like to tell you about building a house. And that is that before you can put the house up, you have to go down. So here was our little house, right? And then my father wanted to add something in the back. So he started digging this hole. And I was very small. I don't totally remember, but I remember when I came home from preschool, I used to see my father's head pop out of this little hole. So anyway, he dug the hole by himself. Oh, there's one more thing that you have to know about building a house. There's one thing that you need. Does anybody know what it is?
Money.
Yes. So, in order to do this in an inexpensive way, because my father was he was only a janitor in the daytime, he did almost all the work by himself. So this took several months. I think it took 6 or 7 months, according to my mother told me. But finally, one day, that hole was dug. And the next step, when you're building a house, is you have to fill up that hole. Isn't that funny? In life, it's the same way, right? You have to dig a hole and then you have to fill it up again. I learned this life lesson early. So, well, he didn't fill it up all the way. Basically, you have to put concrete in there so that it's basically becoming a foundation. So the next thing I learned in life is that when you're building a house, you have to start putting up the framing. And of course, you don't do 2 stories at once, but you have to start those, well, in America anyway, you have to start with those wooden slats like that, and you have to start building the house around it. And so this is something my father could not do alone. So the second lesson I learned in life is that there has to be teamwork. And my mother had a bunch of uncles living nearby, and they were really old. But they were nice. And my father would phone them up, and he would say, "Can you come over and help me?" And then they'd all come over and they'd stand around and drink coffee. While my father would try to ask them to hold the board while he hammered the nails. So teamwork is really important. You must have teamwork when you're building a house. And you have to have coffee too. Well, another thing you have to do is you have to include your family, right? Because they're going to be living there. So my father wanted to, in this neighborhood we live, we were heating the house by coal. So you put the coal in the furnace at night, and then the heat comes in the morning when you turn it on. Well, my father wanted to have a fireplace, or maybe my mother did. But in order to have a fireplace, you have to have a chimney. So that's like, kind of like this. My drawing's not that good, right? But it's made out of solid bricks. You have to lay the bricks one at a time. So my father wanted to include all of us in that activity. So I have a picture of myself, 4 years old, holding a brick like this and giving it to my father. So we all took part in that. We all carried the bricks, and then my uncles came over and drank coffee, and my father laid the cement for each row of bricks. And finally, we had a chimney, and we had a fireplace on both floors. On the upstairs was 2 bedrooms, and the downstairs was another big living room. Well, the next thing you have to know when you're building a house is that you have to kind of be yourself. This neighborhood we lived in, all the houses looked the same, right? It was on a block. Every single house looked the same. And my father had this crazy idea. All the houses were brick. And my father had this crazy idea. He wanted to have wooden panels on the outside of the house. And no one else had that. And so he put up, well, they're called cedar shakes. I don't know if anyone knows that. These little wooden panels, and they have to be hammered in one at a time. So after he got the house built, and he put up this wall, or he got the frame done, he put all these little tiny wooden slats. But the problem is that it didn't look like anything else in the neighborhood. And then I remember my mom being kind of embarrassed and saying, "Can we have bricks like the rest of the house?" So you have to kind of stand up for what you believe in, even if it looks funny. Because, and I tell you this because after it was done, the strangest thing happened when I was growing up. People would drive around, because you could see the back from the street. And people would drive by, and if they saw us outside, they saw my parents outside, they would stop and they'd say, "Why does your house look like that?" So it got a lot of attention. People liked it. They said, "Well, I really like that. I want to do that on my house." So you have to stand up for what you believe in, even if it's not exactly what everyone else is doing. So And finally, when it's done, you can move in and you can drink coffee by yourself. So ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if my father's very passionate about building things. That was his job. But I know that he was quite passionate about taking care of his family. And he provided us with a great place to experience that. And that's what I know about building a house. Thank you very much.